Always tease each other. He was, after I gave birth, he was like, oh my gosh, if I lost you and I, went to the park with our 3 kids, I mean, think of the ladies I can. He's like, this is a horrible thing to say. And he's like, I mean, I've got a long list. And I was like, oh really? Because I just have 1 on my list. I don't have anyone on my list.
And then it wasn't funny anymore.
No, it's so much more of a burn. He's like, wait, who? And I was like,
Tell me, and he's guessing.
Think of someone.
Right.
Bob Newhart. I don't know.
Picture this. Blake Lively, one of Hollywood's most adored actresses, admired for her fashion sense, charming interviews, and high-profile marriage, being hit with a lawsuit by none other than Marvel. It's not exactly the scenario anyone expected. After all, she's been a red carpet darling for years, and her husband, Ryan Reynolds, is the wisecracking superstar behind Deadpool, a Marvel mainstay. Yet here we are, stumbling into rumors that Blake might have leaked critical Deadpool secrets to distract from her own controversies. The result? A legal explosion that could upend not only Blake's reputation, but also the future of one of Marvel's most profitable franchises. How did this all start, and why would Marvel, famous for keeping their internal drama locked away, take such a drastic step? The backstory involves the delicate balance of Hollywood relationships, an unexpected rivalry with director Justin Baldoni, and a swirl of text messages that reveal a side of Blake few imagined possible. While fans debate the truth, the major question lingers: could a single star's desperate moves really threaten Marvel's carefully guarded empire? The stakes are enormous, and each new piece of information only makes this story more astonishing. Blake Lively's brand was nothing short of pristine. She shot to fame through standout performances on TV and in romantic dramas, quickly positioning herself as a fashion-forward trendsetter. Tabloids eagerly followed her red carpet appearances, praising every gown, handbag, and hairstyle. Even beyond the glitz, she cultivated an image of easy warmth. Interviews showed her as approachable and quick to laugh, happy to share personal anecdotes but rarely straying into anything too controversial. It was a balancing act she performed flawlessly, and fans adored her for it. Her marriage to Ryan Reynolds elevated that star power even further. The pair exuded chemistry, constantly teasing each other on social media, trading witty jabs on talk shows, and offering glimpses into their family life in a way that felt genuine rather than forced. When Ryan landed the role of Deadpool, turning a once riskiest Marvel character into a runaway success, it seemed like a cosmic alignment of comedic and personal synergy.
So I really look at I love a challenge though, and I'm just so proud of every bit of it. We went through a whole roller coaster of the human experience, and I'm very proud.
Reporters raved about their playful dynamic. Audiences cheered them on as the embodiment of a modern Hollywood love story. Yet behind that glowing facade, rumors flickered. At industry events, some insiders claimed Blake was more strategic and ambitious than the public realized. She wasn't content to be anyone's mere accessory, even if that person was Marvel's comedic MVP. That alone wouldn't be surprising. Plenty of actors proactively manage their careers, but the real shock came when talk of tensions first drifted into the open. No one could pinpoint the source, but there was a sense that this golden image could crack if too much pressure built beneath the surface. And soon enough, that pressure found the perfect release valve in a project that might have otherwise been a low-drama production. But the real spark was about to fly. All eyes were on Blake when news broke that she'd signed onto a new film helmed by Justin Baldoni, a creative powerhouse noted for emotional and uplifting storytelling. Fans expected an inspiring narrative, perhaps a heartfelt drama that would allow Blake to flex her range in a fresh way. Initially, it seemed like a can't-miss opportunity, a story laced with Baldoni's signature empathy, anchored by Blake's polished presence. Then the cracks showed. Behind closed doors, on-set whispers detailed power struggles. Baldoni planned to star in the project, direct it, and also had partial writing credits. It was a lot for any single person to handle, but rumor had it he preferred that level of control. Meanwhile, Blake, known for her strong personal brand and creative instincts, reportedly felt overshadowed. She wasn't just there to deliver lines, she wanted meaningful input on script direction and character development. Insiders said she was met with polite but firm resistance from Baldoni and his team, who already had a specific vision in place. At first, these might have been brushed off as the typical creative disagreements that often happen on set. But the tension exploded into public view when stories portraying Blake as hard to work with started cropping up in entertainment blogs. Almost immediately, Blake pushed back, going on record to suggest Baldoni had fed these rumors to the tabloids. He, in turn, released text messages that seemed to paint Blake as far from innocent, referencing a broad network of personal connections she could mobilize if she felt threatened. For most Hollywood watchers, that was interesting gossip but nothing earth-shattering. Then word got out that Ryan Reynolds' Marvel ties were somehow in the mix, that Blake had implied she could leverage top-tier intel to shift media coverage. It sounded far-fetched. Why on earth would she risk Deadpool secrets?
I mean, I internalized that as opportunity. We had such a responsibility to this audience to deliver something and to have the opportunity to deliver something for a passionate group of people.
Yes.
As someone who is so deeply passionate myself, I was so excited about that. I would so much rather have that than people who are indifferent.
Blasé.
Yet the seeds of speculation were planted. Before long, the fan community went from casual curiosity to wide-eyed disbelief. However, the deeper revelations were only beginning to surface. Marvel isn't just a film studio, it's more like a fortress guarding multi-billion-dollar storylines. From the Avengers saga to the comedic outlier that is Deadpool, their intellectual property drives massive fan fervor. Leaks can wreck carefully orchestrated marketing plans and cost the studio tens of millions in lost hype, or worse, overshadow major releases with controversies. The lengths they go to maintain secrecy are borderline legendary: coded scripts, restricted set access, and an almost militant approach to NDAs. So, imagine the collective gasp inside Marvel when rumors emerged that someone suspiciously close to Ryan Reynolds might be divulging tidbits about upcoming Deadpool content. At first, the leaks seemed minor, vague rumors about cameo appearances, references to comedic subplots, or potential crossovers with other Marvel characters. Publicly, they seemed harmless, just the kind of scuttlebutt fans pass around in online forums. But to Marvel's eyes, the timing was peculiar. These boasts of secret info coincided eerily well with the moments Blake's friction with Justin Baldoni heated up. Tabloid interest in Blake soared whenever behind-the-scenes details from her new film set spilled out. Then, right at the peak, an exclusive leaked about Deadpool's next cameo or storyline twist would pop up, redirecting attention. The puzzle pieces didn't definitively prove anything, maybe it was pure coincidence. However, for Marvel, coincidence was too big a gamble. They began an internal probe, digging through potential leaks, analyzing who had access to which scripts or outlines, and watching industry chatter closely. That's when the finger-pointing started to land on Blake. Her closeness to Ryan naturally gave her proximity to confidential Marvel materials. And if she was truly determined to overshadow negative coverage, dropping tantalizing Deadpool bombs might be an efficient strategy. So was it all hearsay? Or did Blake truly orchestrate a side campaign to keep the spotlight off her behind-the-scenes meltdown? As Marvel's lawyers dug deeper, the lines between rumor and reality started blurring. Yet even that was just the first ripple of a coming tidal wave. If Justin Baldoni's release of text messages was a spark, the more comprehensive revelations that followed were a full-blown inferno. Anonymous insiders, possibly part of Baldoni's camp or even Marvel staff, leaked a broader collection of messages that hinted at a more orchestrated plan than anyone had initially suspected. Snippets of conversation allegedly showed Blake referencing dragons, a code word for influential players in Hollywood, and openly discussing how to bury unfavorable headlines by teasing Deadpool story points. Suddenly, the narrative shifted. Blake wasn't just defending herself from rumors, she might have been actively plotting to manipulate the entertainment news cycle. One text seemingly implied she'd discovered just enough about Cameo XY in Deadpool 3 to feed the press if her film project Meltdown refused to settle down. Another message hinted that Ryan's comedic flair and popularity could be a double-edged sword. If needed, she might even let slip something that would spin into a viral story.
But I was just tracking him down, and then I finally got to read the script, and the script was a thriller. So that was a little confusing to me because he's such a funny director.
Yeah.
And so I said, what is this? Because the script is definitely a twisting, turning, intense thriller. Is it a comedy or a thriller? And he said, yes. So then every day on set, I was is today a comedy or is it a thriller?
It's a good mix
and
of both.
It's really kind of over the top and campy and trashy and fun and kind of like my outfit, I guess.
Overshadowing anything Justin or the tabloids said about her. Supporters of Blake were stunned. She'd always projected an image of sincerity, often praising the joys of motherhood, family, and positivity in interviews. Could she truly be Machiavellian behind closed doors? Detractors argued these messages proved that even the brightest star can have a hidden streak of ruthlessness, especially when protecting their reputation or creative autonomy. Others speculated the texts could be out of context, manipulated, or even fabricated. Without official verification, the internet turned into a battlefield of conflicting theories. Marvel's legal department, however, took immediate notice. The mere suggestion that an actor's spouse would dangle inside information about one of Marvel's most valuable properties was enough to spark an internal investigation. But what came next was the real bombshell. Marvel didn't just investigate quietly, they prepared to go to court. And they went there with surprising speed. For all its behind-the-scenes diligence, Marvel typically avoids making a public spectacle of internal conflicts. That's why the lawsuit announcement sent shockwaves through the industry. While the initial filing tiptoed around naming names, it cited an individual with direct or indirect access to Deadpool's proprietary materials who had knowingly misused or threatened to misuse such materials for personal gain. Multiple sources close to the studio confirmed the name behind the paperwork: Blake Lively. Fans were floored. Marvel had built a decade-long empire on carefully choreographed reveals, fan service, and occasional playful misdirection. To break its own code of silence and single out someone with such a public and familial tie to Ryan Reynolds seemed unimaginable. Yet the stakes were simply too high, especially if the rumor was true that Deadpool secrets were being deployed like diversionary tactics. Instantly, the public conversation split in two directions. One camp refused to believe Blake would do anything to jeopardize Ryan's career or sabotage Marvel. She was, after all, part of a famously philanthropic couple that often used their platform for good causes. Another camp took the messages and lawsuit at face value, concluding that her outward grace masked an iron will to control narratives. According to Marvel's complaint, these alleged leaks caused both reputational and financial damages, though the exact figure or nature of those losses remained sealed. Reporters tried to corner Ryan for a statement. The typically vocal star, known to crack jokes about even the most mundane tabloid headlines, fell uncharacteristically silent. Neither witty tweets nor comedic Instagram posts surfaced to diffuse the situation. His fans sensed a shift. Maybe this time, the actor realized a well-timed joke wouldn't cut it. On the official front, his publicist offered only a brief acknowledgement. Ryan respected Marvel's position and hoped the matter would be resolved amicably. No direct defense of his wife. No denial, either. All eyes turned to Blake, waiting for a fierce rebuttal or clarifying statement. She instead issued a short retort through her legal team. She denied possession of any official Deadpool secrets and called the lawsuit meritless and punitive. Far from quelling the buzz, her response only fanned the flames.
I think the idea that people think that they know you, I think because of how intrusive media is these days, people care so much more about your personal life than they do your work, and if you aren't open with your personal life, then they just make it up for you and share it for you.
If she truly had no access to Marvel's hidden archives, how could the timing of those rumors align so precisely with her behind-the-scenes issues? But the drama was nowhere near finished. With Marvel's accusations in the open, attention naturally gravitated to how this conflict might affect one of Hollywood's favorite couples. In public, Blake and Ryan always seemed so united, trading good-natured barbs on talk shows and social media, sometimes even bringing their children onto sets in between scenes. The idea of them facing a major crisis together was already jarring. Now multiply that by the gargantuan heft of Marvel's legal arsenal, and the story becomes almost unbelievable. Speculation abounded. Did Ryan even know about Blake's alleged meddling with Deadpool secrets, or was he blindsided by the lawsuit? If he knew, did he try to talk her out of it? And if he didn't know, how betrayed might he feel once the allegations surfaced? For a while, tabloids turned every social media like or lack thereof into a sign of the couple's relationship status. Fans scoured their timelines, noticing the absence of the usually playful banter or silly posts. Conspiracy theories flourished, asserting everything from Ryan is quietly supporting Blake to Ryan might be preparing to cut ties for the sake of his career. Behind the scenes, the possibility of depositions loomed large. If Marvel pressed forward, lawyers could demand phone records from not only Blake but potentially Ryan as well. Nothing was off-limits if the court decided the communications were relevant to the unauthorized leaks. That was uncharted territory, raising the possibility of extremely personal or embarrassing details splashing across headlines. Even the idea of a protective order from the judge wouldn't guarantee total privacy. Some pieces might still seep into the public domain. Meanwhile, members of the Deadpool creative team kept their heads down, focusing on upcoming scripts and promotional work. Or so they claimed publicly. In quiet corners of the industry, more and more professionals watched nervously, aware that if Marvel could file a lawsuit against someone so close to a key actor, nobody was immune if they overstepped the studio's stringent secrecy rules. And looming over it all was the question, how would Marvel's next moves reshape Ryan's future as the wisecracking mercenary? For Marvel, Deadpool was a risk that paid off spectacularly. Ryan Reynolds championed the R-rated antihero even when executives were skittish. After the film's blockbuster success, the character became a key component of the Marvel pantheon, proof that audiences craved comedic edginess mixed with superhero flair. Sequels soared at the box office, establishing a robust sub-franchise nestled within Marvel's broader cinematic universe. But now there was a new question. Could that synergy between Ryan and Marvel persist if the studio found credible evidence that his own household played fast and loose with top-secret content? Some fans argued Ryan shouldn't be punished for what Blake allegedly did. Others countered that trust is paramount to Marvel, and if that trust was shattered, the damage might be irreparable. Privately, industry analysts speculated about worst-case scenarios.
Is through their style. So it was more about who Lily is that was so fascinating to me, is that she's a walking, talking contradiction, yet it's perfectly harmonious for her.
Would Marvel consider recasting Deadpool if tensions escalated too far? That idea seemed outrageous. Ryan was the definitive face of the character. Still, high stakes and unyielding brand protection can push studios into extreme decisions. The bigger your property, the bigger the impetus to safeguard it from controversies. Any break with Ryan would reverberate through the entire Marvel brand. Deadpool's comedic, meta-driven approach had become a fan favorite, and reintroducing the character without Reynolds would be an enormous gamble. Yet the more the lawsuit expanded, the more people worried about how Marvel could maintain the current dynamic. Quiet settlement negotiations might save the day, but if both sides dug in, the court case could become an extended fiasco with daily headlines, something no big franchise wants overshadowing upcoming releases. Would these tensions crack the unstoppable momentum of Deadpool? Or would a hush-hush deal behind closed doors keep everything afloat? Justin Baldoni, who inadvertently ignited this chain reaction, found himself fielding an onslaught of questions that had little to do with his film. Journalists pressed him on how he felt about inadvertently dragging Marvel into his feud. Baldoni, consistent with his reputation for empathy, politely reiterated that his original intent was to correct unflattering portrayals of him, not create a Hollywood superstorm. He expressed surprise that the text messages took on a life of their own, eventually roping in a juggernaut studio. Across Hollywood, the scandal became a cautionary tale about the fragility of reputations and the unpredictability of controversies. Anyone who's worked in film knows creative tensions happen all the time. But this saga underscored the nuclear fallout that can occur when those tensions bleed into a multi-billion-dollar cinematic universe. One day, you're dealing with standard personality clashes. The next, you're locked in a legal battle that could reshuffle the hierarchy of blockbuster franchises. Producers, agents, and even stylists whispered among themselves, reminding each other how swiftly private texts or emails can find their way into the public eye. Reputations built over years can dissolve in a matter of days if the revelations are scandalous enough. And for actors who might want to juggle multiple projects or push for more creative control, this was a stark reminder: step on the wrong toes, especially when those toes belong to Marvel, and you risk facing a blowback of epic proportions. Meanwhile, fans found themselves torn between loyalty to Blake and awe at Marvel's unwavering stance on protection of intellectual property. Some decried the studio's actions as heavy-handed, claiming they might be scapegoating her. Others applauded Marvel's unwavering commitment to safeguarding future Deadpool installments from any form of sabotage. The online debates became frenzied, each side hurling theories, partial evidence, and personal anecdotes about which star was really in the wrong. But the final act was still unwritten. Blake Lively's meteoric shift from admired A-lister to the target of Marvel's unprecedented lawsuit is as dramatic as any script Hollywood could conjure. What began as a run-of-the-mill creative dispute on a smaller film project escalated into something far bigger, a legal test of how studios guard their golden properties against even the faintest hint of betrayal. In the process, the public's perception of both Blake and Marvel has shifted, and Ryan Reynolds finds himself caught squarely in the crosshairs, forced to balance loyalty to his wife against loyalty to the franchise that revitalized his career. Whether this ends in a secret settlement, a public trial, or a quiet reconciliation, the ramifications will likely reverberate through the industry for years. Any scandal involving Marvel is automatically high-profile, but this one also touches on domestic partnerships, creative control, and the lengths people will go to protect or uplift their own narratives. It's a crossroads where personal ambition meets corporate might, revealing the hidden tension that lurks beneath Hollywood's glossy surface. For now, the lawsuit stands as a warning shot to everyone in Tinseltown. No star is untouchable, and no brand is worth risking if you dare breach the confidentiality that props up an entire cinematic universe. Whether Blake emerges vindicated or whether Marvel's wrath leaves a permanent mark on her career, audiences are left to wonder how deeply these secrets run, and who else might be sitting on bombshells that could upend the next biggest franchise. Because if there's one lesson to be learned here, it's that in the high-stakes game of blockbuster filmmaking, even the smallest leak can unleash colossal consequences. Thank you for watching. In a world where billion-dollar film universes and star-studded marriages intersect, the lines between personal freedom and professional obligation can blur more easily than we'd like to admit. Stay curious about the stories beneath the headlines, because sometimes the real drama unfolds in whispers, text messages, and quiet deals long before it ever hits the red carpet or the courtroom. And if there's anything we can say for certain, it's that Marvel's stance on secrecy is formidable. Step over that line, and you just might face a backlash bigger than any red carpet appearance or influencer post can fix. That's the fragility of fame, especially when you're up against an empire that holds every cinematic card, and shows no mercy when they believe those secrets are at risk.